Hi guys, welcome back. Good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock actually. On the dot. I think that might be a first. I've actually went live on the hour at noon. But I'm excited to be back, or black by popular demand as my shirt says. It's very appropriate for this video topic actually. You guys will see. I got an email from a viewer who wants me to address something. And I think he really wanted me to address it like with him face to face. But you guys know I'm a vlogger and I do things a little bit differently. And I think sometimes people think because I come off as very relatable in my videos that I'm interested in meeting people off of Facebook or YouTube, like face to face, and not necessarily unless it's business related, of course. So I'm gonna read you guys the email that I received. But this email, I was like, wow. I was impressed, first of all, by his level of transparency and honesty in this email, and humility. Just like that shows a sign of maturity. So I'm going to read you guys the email. But how are you guys doing? Feel free to chime in. This is really going to be a nice topic. So he really inspired this video topic. And you guys know that this whole topic of cuckold is relatively new to me. I think I made my first video, was it last year? I think it was in 2019, right? I have to go back. I've made several cuckold videos since. And like I said in my previous videos, you guys have been like demanding this topic. This is by popular demand, like literally. And I'm okay with talking about it, or even not talking about it and going on talking about something else, like, because it's an interest of mine. But I don't think you guys are actually more interested in this topic than I'm interested in this topic. So hey, whatever suits your fancy. And I'm feeling a little bit kind of draggy and a little bit irritable, I guess, because you know it's that time. My menses is on. It came on today. Might be too much information for you fellas out there, but women can relate. It's just, it shapes our whole mood. And I'm a little bit surprised that it came on today out of all days, considering I didn't really have any premenstrual symptoms, like, at all. No premenstrual symptoms. But maybe because I've been dating. So like, you know, I've been around positive energy lately. So that probably offset those terrible, horrific symptoms that women typically experience, like the moodiness and the cramps. But I'm feeling it now. It's like, oh my gosh. So if you guys see me looking a little bit uncomfortable, I don't know why it's chopping up. Okay. I don't know why it's chopping up, but let's hope we can get through this video. I don't know why, yeah. So if you guys see me a little bit like, you know, looking uncomfortable, it's because I am. I'm very uncomfortable. First day, guys. You women can relate. First day of the cycle, it's just like, oh my, it's the worst day. But we're gonna get through this video, lo and behold. Outside of that, I'm feeling great today. You know, I'm feeling in a good mood. Today is Tuesday, and it's 1 week before I start my pre-doc internship. So, woo, hoo, hoo. Looking forward to that. So I'm gonna go ahead and read y'all this email. And I did remove his name. I'm not gonna disclose who this guy is, his name or anything, but I will go ahead and read you guys what he wrote. He says, hi, I'm 45. Sounds like a personal ad on a dating site. He says, I'm 45, fun, easygoing white guy from Queens, and I work in Manhattan. I saw some of your videos. You seem really open-minded and cool. I have a little bit of cuckold fetish as well as tease and denial. Tease and denial. That sounds like BDM-ish. Denial of orgasm? I have to clarify that one. Currently single, and it drives me crazy to see physically superior black guys who get all the hot girls. And as I was reading this, I'm like, this guy cannot be serious. But I'm going to take it as a serious email. Now, this sounds like some storytelling. He says, I know it's not totally the case, but it's a big reason why at my age I'm frustrated and not getting any. I'm like, all right, he might be serious. He's talking about his emotions here, his feelings, and he's, you know, guys are more reluctant to openly discuss their feelings, especially their, you know, like feelings of vulnerability and, you know, inferiority. So I'm just like, wow, you know, as a man, him being a man, I respect that from coming from a man, right? That he can talk about those feelings so openly. I'm like, I can respect that. He says, at my age, I'm frustrated and not getting any. Damn, bro. I also think black guys enjoy keeping guys like me frustrated, showing off their women. Now, when he says their women, I had to think about it. I was like, okay, is he talking about black women? Or is he talking about the non-black women that black men date, right? Or they end up fucking in terms of a cuckold relationship. So I would assume, just based on the context of this email here, that he's referring to non-black women or white women, basically his own people, right? Or he says that it frustrates him that black guys enjoy keeping guys like him frustrated, showing off their women. So you can sense a little bit of jealousy there, right? He says, sometimes I think it is payback for white privilege. Now, that's what I can respect, because at least he acknowledges that there is white privilege, and he has some of that as a white man. So, he says, just wondering if you encourage or support your friends being bulls or keeping the girls away from 5'8" white guys like me. So he knows, obviously, that I'm a black woman. He's seen my videos. And he thinks that I may have something to do with it. That I may have something to do with these black men taking all their women. Their meaning, you know, white women, right? From 5'8" white guys like me. Interesting he would put, like, you guys know I have to break down these words here and how he places these words, right? As a wordsmith myself, and not only that, as a person who studies psychology and behavior, like, why emphasize the 5'8"? Why is it even relevant, right? Why even put that in there? 5'8" white guys like me. 5'8" is kind of, I guess, short for a man, right? It's below the average height of a man, especially in America. I also was wondering if you might be interested in meeting up for coffee, dinner, or a drink to talk about these issues more. I'm a pretty normal guy otherwise, and I love to meet new friends. I like to meet new friends too, just not off of my social media platforms. Thank you, Jakia. I made this shirt actually this morning. Before this video, I purchased a shirt at the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles, California this year, along with another shirt, and I decided to do something with it because it's still warm out here in New York City. But yeah, he's like inviting me out on a date, a coffee, dinner, or drink. I'm like, okay, that sounds nice, but you know, honestly, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, and I don't want guys to take it personal when I like ignore their offers, their requests to go out on dates. You know, when they reach out to me like on Facebook and YouTube, or you know, my direct email address, and say, hey, I'm a follower of yours, I support you, I love your videos, can we go out, can I meet? It's just like, no. Thank you for the compliments. Where are you watching from, Jakia? But I also think like, okay, well, maybe I should come out of my shell. Maybe I should try something different, right? Maybe I should lower my inhibitions and just explore and see what it's like to meet some random person. Like, this is the thing here. You guys watch me. You guys see my videos. I give you guys a peek inside my life. I don't know anything about you guys. Like, you're a complete stranger to me, you know? So I get it. But I decided to, instead of take up the date offer, right? I decided to address his concerns in a video, this video here. So there's a lot to unpack. He's 45, right? So it's like close to like, sounds like he's having like a midlife crisis here. This is what that's what sticks out for me. He's going through it. He's single. I don't know if he has any kids though. I'm just like, dude, you're from Queens, and Queens is a nice suburb area. I mean, it's a borough here in New York City, but I've been through some parts of Queens, and I'm not completely familiar with, you know, Queens altogether. But the area that I went through has some really nice homes. So, you know, it costs obviously to live in New York City, and that part of Queens that I was in, maybe, I don't know what part he lives in, but I have a decent sized income. And he says he works in Manhattan. So, yo, you definitely are operating on some white privilege here. I'm wondering, why is it, what's the holdup? Why is it difficult for you to find that person? Maybe at your age, I would assume that you have been previously married and you probably have kids already. Maybe not. You work in Manhattan, yo. You're pulling in some dough. You should be. But back to his concern, because it sounds like there's a underlining feeling of jealousy here. It's kind of just blurting out, right? Like, jealousy is just blurting out. Because he mentions how he becomes frustrated seeing that black guys are like basically taking his women. But he says they're showing off their women being like black men's women, right? You know, because now black men, now these white women are black, are the, I'm gonna say property, but this is how our society looks at it, you know, like now they belong to black men. It's like the black men are taking all of the white women from these white men and making it very frustrating for these white men to have to experience this reality, especially as a 45-year-old white man who is single and hasn't gotten any in a while. It's like, I'm trying to get me some. Just looking around at all these black men, and they look happy too, right? I can relate, yo. They look just so happy. And I talked about this in my last video too, you guys, so go back and watch my video that I made. I actually was at the park, at Randall's Island Park, where I talked about the grass being greener or not so greener on the other side in terms of interracial dating, and how a lot of black women become bitter and discouraged by seeing our own men, black men, with other women from other races, right? And they appear to be so happy, but yet when you go on social media, look at how they talk down upon black women. So I get your pain, yo. I get it. But as a person who loves herself, right? Because you gotta bring it back. It goes back to self-love. As a person, if you love yourself and you are secure within who you are as a person, it's not to say that, okay, what people in your in-group, being Caucasian, right, what they do, it's not to say it's not going to affect you or impact you. Of course it does, right? If you love your race, you take pride in your race, it's going to impact you. Same thing with my own race. Like, I have a lot of love and respect for being black. So yes, what people who identify themselves as black, what they do does have an impact on me. But we have to not take things so personal sometimes, you know, because it's not really about you all the time. And if everything that someone does, you interpret it as like a hit against you, that's going to be awful to live. And you're really going to be frustrated. It makes sense why you're so frustrated. America has left a crushing blow on black African Americans. It's all kinds of mess. Yeah, that's on a kind of general sense, but we've narrowed it down to this topic of cuckold. And now we're focusing on the negative psychological effects that cuckold has had on, or is having on, white men. Because sometimes black people, we've endured oppression, discrimination, all this garbage for many years, and sometimes we think that all of the bad things is just our reality, not really taking a look outside of ourselves to see that other people from other races are going through shit too. But sometimes we don't know because we're so isolated. We keep to ourselves so much, and we don't step outside to see or open our eyes enough to be able to see, like, damn, motherfucker, other people going through shit too. Sometimes even worse, even worse than the shit that we are going through. Everybody has their struggles, and here this man is talking about how he's frustrated, and I'm pretty sure he uses the word frustrated. And granted, it is a level of vulnerability, right, to say that you're frustrated. But even beyond that, even beyond the frustration, because sometimes frustration, if it goes unchecked, can turn into anger. And a lot of times underneath anger, like, all these emotions run together. A lot of times underneath anger is hurt. You're feeling hurt. Not only that, you feel inferior because you're putting black men on a pedestal. I mean, look, it's clear as day. These black men have your prize. They have the white woman, which America considers as gold, prize. And you mentioned white privilege. So let's talk about how white privilege, where does your white privilege come into play when it comes to your dating experiences? Or why isn't your white privilege coming into play? Like, if you have so much privilege as a white man, you work in Manhattan. I don't know what kind of work you do, but we know that Manhattan is the epicenter of the financial thing, right? Financial industry, the finance industry. So people make a lot of money working in Manhattan. And you have this power, right? Like, as a white man, you have economic power. At least you should have economic power, political power. With this power, why is it so difficult when it comes on a personal level to attract the kind of woman that you want? Now, at the end of this email, he goes and he makes a proposition asking me out on a date. So I'm like, okay, you like black women? Have you become so disheartened by the reality of the interracial dynamic between black men taking your women, the white women, away from you, that you just said, all right, fuck it, no hope with white women, let me try to cross over and see, check my chances with black women to see what are my chances, right? Maybe I have a better chance with white women. And that happens often. I talked about this in my last video. You guys can go back and watch it. Why people sometimes cross over. Why they think the grass is greener on the other side. Because they haven't had much luck on the side that they're on. And a lot of times, like I said, all these issues that we see coming up to surface in our own personal lives, we oftentimes attribute the blame to people outside of us, or forces or circumstances outside of us. But it helps to do some good soul searching to see, what is it about myself? Why am I not attracting the kind of partner that I want? Now, yes, because for me, my theoretical approach, and this is just my worldview, is that I understand the systemic influence. I understand the sociological factors that influence us on an individual level, right? So that's to say that we can't necessarily put the blame on ourselves as individuals for everything that happens, right? There's many different ways and many different lenses that we can look through to conceptualize our own behaviors and what's happening, right? In this case, his struggle with being able to secure a partner, you know, of his liking, of his choice. It makes sense, right, to see that, okay, well, to look at not only what's happening on a sociological perspective, but also kind of narrow it down to, okay, well, what is it about myself? What is it that is inherent within me that repels what I want? You know, what is it? Something to ask yourself that. What is it beyond the dating pool? Because you're looking at your dating options and you're like, well, damn, I'm getting older. And this is also what kind of tickled me a little bit, and reflecting back on an earlier video that I made on MGTOW. I call it a movement. These MGTOW men call it a philosophy, right? But in reading this email and reflecting back on the video I made on what the hell is MGTOW, and I kind of dug a little bit deep, broke it down a little bit from my own personal perspective, and analyzed like why these men just want to really go their own way, right? Everybody has the right to do what the hell they want to do. You know, and I talked about the psychological aspect of it, and like how a lot of times these men are just hurt. It makes sense why you want to go your own way. Like, it's aversion. It makes sense. You are averting your interests away from what hurts you into something that you feel is going to be a safe place, right? And that space, that safe space, is surrounding yourself with other men who also have become bitter and angry and frustrated because they have experienced similar situations. You know, it makes sense, right? So you like, it's men against women. And in response to my video, these men, some of these men anyway, because I get it, not all of y'all think the same. And y'all like, well, there is a healthy perspective to MGTOW. Not all of us, you know, have endured these traumas, and well, most of y'all have though. And to your defense, you're like, yeah, it's like you guys were trying to focus on me, and I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do with MGTOW, you know. Don't blame me. It's like, oh, it's women like you. Don't blame me for your misfortunes, you know. Like, it was women like you, da 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 da. And then they really started to kind of somewhat attack and say, oh, well, you know, you're gonna hit the wall as you age. And they were basically saying things because they felt disempowered. I mean, it's clear to see when a person is disempowered, right? Because what do? They attack. They try to take someone else's power. They try to disempower other people. You make other people feel how you feel inside, okay? That's like psychology 101. I mean, it doesn't take a psych major to understand that concept, right? We know that. If you have enough insight to be able to reflect on your own life, and you can see how you interact with people, it's just like, it's clear as day. When you feel disempowered, you make other people feel how you feel. It's a transfer of energy. That's what it is. Alright? That's how we alchemize the negative energy within us. You have to do something with that negative energy, right? You know, just like when someone feels angry, what do? You project that anger to someone else. And so these men feel disempowered, and you try to disempower other people outside of you. But it's more helpful and more beneficial to yourself, who feels disempowered and you have all these internal issues going on, to just take an honest look at yourself. We do ourselves a disservice when we attribute all of our problems to other people. it's one thing to conceptualize a problem and to consider like the different factors that play a role, right? So you say, okay, well, this is my role that I play, this is the role that this person plays outside of you, this is the role that society plays at large, and the media and all of that. That I think is more helpful, but sometimes everybody's like, people who aren't as mature, very quick to just point fingers and say, this person, that person, that person. So going back to how MGTOW relates to this email, because I had to take a tangent for a little bit, because I have obviously a lot to say about this topic. But going back to the MGTOW and how it relates to this, I just find it very ironic that these disempowered men, in an attempt to regain power, spew negative things to disempower someone else and say, oh, well, because I'm speaking my truth and my perspective on the topic of MGTOW so openly, they're like, oh, well, as women age, this is part of their philosophy, right? As women age, they become less attractive, they become less appealing, right? This is how they see things. And I'm like, well, I would say if you want to take that approach and that embody that, philosophy or that belief, wouldn't that apply not only to women but also to men? It's like, oh no, as men age, men become more appealing and more attractive because usually their income increases along with their age. And I'm just like, okay, you may have a slight point there, because women, yes, we are attracted to men who obviously are financially stable. It kind of goes back to an evolutionary perspective. When you think about men being the providers of women, taking care of the family, it makes sense that women will seek out men who have a financial viability, right? And as you age, if your income increases with your age, then of course it's gonna make you somewhat attractive, but that's not the totality of attraction, right? We know that. There's other factors at play, and research also supports that as women age, what happens with our reproductive system? What happens, not only, I won't say with our reproductive system, but what happens with our sexual arousal? What happens with our ability to want to have sex even more and more? Like, it increases. Like, we reach a sexual peak. We think that the sexual peak happens in women at a young age, and it does, but there are many peaks. There are many peaks throughout the lifespan for a woman, sexual peaks. So, as a woman age, so does her proclivity to want to have sex even more and more. That increases also, right? So we have to consider that. And if a woman wants to have more sex, yet a man, as he also ages, faces the issue of erectile dysfunction, there's, boom, an issue here. There's a wall, the wall that these MGTOW men describe. Boom, you run into this wall, right? The same wall which seems like this man, this 45-year-old man who sent me this email, has run into. So look how it all comes together. Like, I'm not sure if he experiences erectile dysfunction, but it's not uncommon, especially at that age. Like, and it's happening even at a younger age. This thing is very common here. Like, it's happening more frequently even in younger men, you guys. This erectile dysfunction, where men as young as their 20s, 30s, I mean, it's kind of like, who would have ever thought that men as young as their 20s and 30s are experiencing arousal problems and ability to maintain erection through completion? This is an issue here. So come on, add a couple more decades to that, and now you're facing a man in his mid-40s approaching 50. Of course, I'm pretty sure that the likelihood of him running into erectile problems is pretty high. Think about it now. So yes, it makes sense that these black men, these young black bulls here who have all this energy, not to say that black men don't experience erectile dysfunction, because all men do. Erectile dysfunction has no respect of race. It doesn't discriminate. All men have that problem. But luckily for black men, they have received a positive branding. A positive stereotype has been associated with black men and what lies between their legs. So that's a good thing, because we know when it comes to black, a lot of negative things have been associated with blackness, but at least they can hold on to that. And a lot of non-black women also hold on to that too. It's like, I want to give me one of them, right? So it makes sense. And then that affects the dating pool, that affects the dating options, because if you have all of these non-black women who find black men more appealing, oftentimes because of what lies between their legs. It's the energy force, right? It's not just the physical feature that lies between a black man's legs. It's just the energy that black people bring all together, right? I mean, no surprise why we have a white man here who wants to take me out on a date. White people like black people, just believe it or not. They may come off as, oh, I don't like them, I hate black people. No, they like us. We have something that often they lack. It's clear as day. We have something that white men lack. Black men have something that white men lack. Black women, we bring something to the table that white women just don't have, right? It's an energy. And that when a person has something that you don't have and you want it, creates jealousy, right? And that's where the hatred comes from. It makes sense. But I want to give some advice. I want to encourage people, not just this person who has watched my videos and has become motivated and inspired to send me this email, just everyone, right? Because I think this can apply to anyone. Like, oftentimes we have this misperception. Like, we think that the grass is greener. We think that, oh, well, they look happy. These black men are just, taking our women and, they're procreating. But they have issues too, right? So I think you have to just find, first of all, who you are. Discover really who you are. Get in tune with that. It helps to be single. I've been single for a while, and it is life, you guys. Like, when you actually accept it. See, this is the issue. A lot of people who are single, y'all do not accept your singlehood. You look at it as like punishment. You like trying to get away from it. You're escaping yourself. And no, it's a great time. You get in tune with yourself. It's a wonderful time, because you have yourself. You have all this attention and time to yourself. That's a gift. Appreciate that. I don't understand how people miss out on that opportunity, because when you're in a relationship, like, it's not only about you, it's about the other person, And what happens when you are in a relationship with someone else, and especially if you have opposing views, opposing perspectives, like, it's going to create friction. You're going to have to come to a compromise. When you're by yourself, you don't have to compromise. Like, your only job is to make sure that you are healthy and happy. That's your only job. Whereas, apparently, when you're with someone else, your job is to make the other person happy. Like, someone commented on my post recently, and we were having a debate about that, like, saying that, oh, it's the other partner's responsibility to make their partner happy. And I'm just like, personally, I don't believe that. But since people do believe that, that's what you end up having to deal with in relationships, unfortunately, because that is an expectation. Even though it's a false expectation, it's an expectation. So that's what you're having to deal with, these false expectations in dating. And so, perceivably, you would think that, oh, it's wonderful today. It's going to be fun, and I'm having trouble dating, so I'm missing out on something. When really, what you missing out on? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you want sex. She's like, I'm not getting any. He says, I know it's not totally the case, but it's a big reason why at my age, I'm frustrated and not getting any. Because he says these physically superior black guys get all the hot girls. It may seem like that, huh? You're like, damn, how they get these cute? Like, for example, Kanye. He's an easy example to reference, right? Because he's in the media, he's popular, he's famous or whatever, right? And he's married to Kim Kardashian, and a lot of people probably think like, damn, how he get her? I wish I could get her, right? She's so beautiful. As an example, some of y'all might be like, no, I'm on her ass. Shit, she a hoe, you know? But that's an example. It's just like, yeah, black men do get some beautiful women. Exotic looking women, you know, who don't identify themselves as black. And you may feel like they're intruding on your space or your territory. They're taking your women. But I would say work on yourself. Appreciate being single. Use that time to get in tune with who you are and be a complete person. Because when you're a complete person, you attract other complete people. Where you don't have to run into these false expectations of having to like do all this extra work to please. Now, yes, of course, people have their needs, and when you enter a relationship, yeah, I mean, if a woman likes sex, she wants to be pleased thoroughly in the bedroom. So that's probably where you're lacking, you know, because you reference black men, you know, being physically superior. So I would think that you're trying to be more conservative, but you really wanted to say they're more well endowed also, you know. They have this package between their legs that you don't have as a white man who's 45 years old. You're not going to have it. Just get over it. But you have something else to bring to the table. You have this white privilege. So why not use that? Use what you got, baby. We all come in many different shapes and sizes and colors, right? And we all have characteristics. We all have traits about ourselves that other people don't have. That's what makes you unique. But until you are able to see that, recognize it and appreciate it, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be searching for something that you're never going to get. And you're going to just continue to age and be this lonely white man. You have to know what you bring to the table, because it creates a sense of pride, self-pride in you. And pride is a healthy thing. You want pride. You know, when you accept who you are, like truly, you'll know it. You'll feel a sense of confidence. You'll feel a sense of completeness. Because people oftentimes, oh, I'm looking for my partner to complete me. I can't wait to find someone who completes me. But no, the best feeling is when you are complete. You feel complete within yourself as a single person, 45-year-old white male, however old you are, 35-year-old black man, 29-year-old black woman, whatever your age is. That is such a wonderful feeling, man. You're talking about heaven, to feel complete in yourself. And when you have that, you step out in the world, you're gonna realize, you're gonna see the change. Like, it's, trust me, when you work on yourself, because this is the thing, sometimes we try to like change other people, right, in relationships. It's like, I guess maybe we think it's easier. But we try to work on them, and we complain about the things they're doing right, things they're not doing. Most often we complain about things they're not doing right? Things that we don't like about them. And hoping that in complaining about them and their negative qualities, it's going to improve something within us. But no, it's easier to just work on yourself. Become this complete person. And I promise you, when you step out into the world as a complete person, you are going to be turning heads left and right. Because it goes down to energy, man. I don't care what you look like physically. Because you mentioned, oh, these physically superior black men. Okay, that's one component. But it's the energy. You can have a person who is physically attractive as a man, right? A certain height. You mentioned you were 5'8", right? But it's an energy. You say, oh, well, they're 6'3" or 6'2", 200 and something pounds, 100, whatever is sexy for you guys, right? To consider to be physically attractive. But their confidence is not there. They have low self-esteem. They feel inferior. Like, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm saying is, you can be 5'8". You can be 45 years old, a white man, or whatever you are, whatever characteristics that you hold as a person, whether you're a white man, black man, white woman, black woman, and you, or society has created this narrative that the characteristics that you hold aren't as appealing or attractive. But that's the thing. You gotta love yourself. Fuck what society say. You have to know that you are the shit. And that takes a lot of work. That's why you gotta be by yourself. You know, because sometimes people be seeking validation from outside sources when no, you gotta validate yourself. You gotta work on yourself, man. But when you do, and you become that complete person, and you can step outside, you're gonna attract all kinds of positive energy, man. You're gonna have all kind of women on your dick. I don't care what size your dick is. You're gonna have all kind of women on it. Because you know what it is, like I said, it's that energy. And the energy in them, that soul force that's within them, what we cannot see, is going to communicate. It's going to speak to your soul energy. See, that's what we don't realize. We talk about the consciousness, right? We talk about what we are aware of and all these things on the surface level, but there's so much happening between people interpersonally that we don't even see, that we're not even conscious of, right? And so sometimes we think that decisions happen based on what we have complete control over within our own power, and yes, they do. But a lot of those decisions are influenced by things that are more subconscious. Our intuition is working, like our spirit is working on a subconscious level. And as those decisions happen so quickly, we don't even realize that our subconscious mind, it moves very quickly. In milliseconds, right? Like really quick. And it sends signals to our conscious mind, you know, and make a decision based on that. And then behavior results from that. So it's just amazing to see like what happens. I call it like the spirit realm, you know, or people say it the subconscious. It's all pretty much the same. But what happens in that realm that we don't see, that we really don't have control over, you know. But you have to really get in tune with yourself. I really appreciate this viewer for reaching out and being bold to express himself in this way, because yes, he expressed these words and this is his experience, but it's not just his experience. This is a lot of people's experience. You know, some people are just more open about what they're going through, which is good because, you know, this is how we learn. So I really appreciate this discussion. I want you guys to comment below. I'm sure you guys will comment below and, you know, provide your insights on this. But, you know, I think coming from myself, being a person who is content with who I am and where I'm at in my life right now, even though I'm single. Y'all, I'll be 37 this month. Today is September 1st. I will be 37 on the 28th. And I am single. Never married. No kids. And yes, of course, I do want a family. I do want kids, right? But I think everything happens in due time. It's no rush, you know? Sometimes we gotta stop chasing stuff that we think we want and allow the universe to just bring it into our lives, you know? Just, you know? But that can be a bad place to be in, I think, as a white man. Especially if y'all have this, I mean, y'all may have a strong reputation for other stuff, right? You know, having political power, having money, the ability to be able to, you know, like you have purchasing power, right? Buy what you want to buy, you know, but money really can't buy love, right? So that's the unfortunate part. But it can buy sex. I'm not encouraging anybody to go out there and buy some sex, but I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying, like, all hope ain't lost. And, you know, the same way you came out to me and sent this email towards the end, kind of soliciting my interest in a date with you, do that with people in your close network. You know, go on dating sites. There are a lot of black women that like white men, you know. Yes, Baba. Confidence is so important. That's something that people just, you know, that's a whole nother topic. I can go on and on about this. That confidence, it goes a very long way. And sometimes people mistake confidence for narcissism, you know. Totally two different things. Totally two. I think narcissism is like a knockoff. It's a fake confidence. That's what narcissism is. But you'll know when a person is truly confident. in themselves, you know. You're just content. Like, it's like you're okay with whichever direction, you know. And you know who you are. And you're willing to stand in who you are. You know, yes, not to say you're not human, not to say that you don't desire connection, because that's what humans do. We desire connection, this interconnectedness with other people. That's just how we are wired as human beings. It's only nature. It's natural, you know. So I get it that you may feel jealousy, because that's only a natural human emotion. But sometimes when you sit with that emotion too long, yeah, it can get toxic. It can become toxic. So you recognize, okay, I feel jealous. I feel inferior to black men because I see what's happening on the outside. Like, they're taking our women, and I don't have a woman. And these black men are walking around happy, you know, and they're making babies, and I'm just trying to get some sex. I get it, you know. So it can have an impact on you psychologically, emotionally, and you sit with those emotions for a while, and they grow and they grow, and it gets worse and worse. So it helps to acknowledge those emotions when you feel them, own it, you know, like you did, own those emotions. But what are you going to do with it? You're just going to just be frustrated the rest of your life, you know? Gotta do something with those emotions. What are you gonna do? For me, I wouldn't take those emotions into a relationship. That's not good, you know. You want to go into a relationship happy, content, confident, satisfied with who you are, loving yourself. So that's what I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Comment your perspective on this topic, and I'll catch you guys later. Whoop.